Step off the boat at Ellis Island in the early 1900s, and the first thing that hits you is the sheer scale of New York City. Skyscrapers claw at the clouds. The streets are a blur of noise and ambition. And right there on the horizon, a marvel of steel and stone, the Brooklyn Bridge. For immigrants and dreamers, it's more than a bridge. It's a promise. If you're ready to uncover more secrets behind the world's most fascinating cons, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. That way, you'll never miss the next twist in the world of cons, and you'll always be one step ahead of the game. Now imagine you're fresh off the boat, pockets full of hope, and maybe a little bit of cash, when a sharply dressed man steps forward. "Welcome to America," he says, with a firm handshake. You look like someone who knows a good opportunity when he sees one. He flashes a business card and pulls out a leather folder stuffed with official-looking papers. Could this really be true, you wonder? Why would he offer this to me? But he's got the documents, the office. Maybe this is my chance. He leans in. Most folks never get this offer. But I like you. I think you're ready for something big. The next morning you're out there, hammering together your own toll booth, grinning at your good fortune. This is it, you think. My piece of America. Then the police arrive. "Sir, exactly what is it that you're doing?" You stammer. I bought this bridge. Here's the deed." The officer just shakes his head. "You and 100 others, my friend, you've been had." Some buyers, convinced they struck gold, ready to collect their fortunes, until police arrived and had to break them the bad news. That's George C. Parker's genius. He didn't just sell a bridge. He sold the American dream, one gullible newcomer at a time. George C. Parker was born in 1860 and grew up in a bustling Irish-American neighborhood, the son of immigrants who scraped by with odd jobs and an endless drive and hustle. But he could have been anyone. He was a chameleon, a master of disguise and forgery. Brooklyn in the late 19th century was a place where dreams and desperation collided. The city was transforming. Bridges soared over rivers, and fortunes were made overnight. Parker, sharp-eyed and restless, watched as newcomers arrived daily, dazzled by the city's promise and vulnerable to its pitfalls. After a failed attempt at honest business, Parker realized that the city's greatest resource wasn't its landmarks, but the endless stream of hopefuls eager for a shortcut to success. Armed with a knack for forgery and a silver tongue, he turned the city's icons into his personal inventory, selling dreams to anyone willing to buy. He set up fake offices near the bridge, crafted official-looking deeds, and even posted bridge for sale signs, all to lure in his marks. If there was a landmark in New York, Parker had a deed for it and a story to match. Parker was prolific. He claimed to have sold the Brooklyn Bridge at least 2 times a week for decades. The price? It depended on the mark. Sometimes for as little as $75, and other times as much as $50,000, which in today's dollars would be $2 million. And it wasn't just the Brooklyn Bridge. Parker sold Grant's Tomb, the Statue of Liberty, Madison Square Garden, and even the Metropolitan Museum of Art, often posing as the rightful owner or even as General Grant's grandson. His favorite targets were new arrivals, immigrants, tourists, anyone dazzled by the city's grandeur and desperate to belong. He bribed ferry operators to tip him off about wealthy newcomers. Then he swooped in with his pitch. He'd talk about the bridge's history, its future, and your place in it. He'd even offer you a job running the toll booth, just to sweeten the deal. The scam was smooth, so believable, that dozens, maybe hundreds, fell for it. Most were too embarrassed to tell their story. Parker's legend grew with every sale, and so did his boldness. The scam became so notorious that police eventually posted signs around the Brooklyn Bridge, warning newcomers that the landmark was not for sale, to stop the steady stream of would-be owners from hammering together their own toll booths. But the city was changing. As the years rolled on, the buyers grew wiser. Ellis Island officials started handing out pamphlets, warning newcomers not to buy public buildings. The police began to recognize his face. and the newspapers started calling him out. Still, Parker kept moving, changing names, changing tactics, and always staying one step ahead. Eventually, Parker's luck ran out. He was arrested for grand larceny in 1901 and got sent to Sing Sing for 2.5 years. But he didn't stop. But the law caught up with him again and again. Fraud, forgery, theft, each time the sentences got longer and longer. After one arrest in 1908, Parker pulled off another audacious escape. He simply put on the sheriff's coat and hat that were left unattended, walked out the front door, and even bid the guards a cheerful Happy New Year as he left. His final arrest came in 1928. After a worthless check scheme, under New York's 3-strike law, Parker was sentenced to life in prison. He spent his last years entertaining fellow inmates with stories of all the times he sold the Brooklyn Bridge, the Statue of Liberty, and half the city's landmarks. In his final years at Sing Sing, Parker became a legend among inmates and the guards alike, entertaining them with stories of his exploits and the countless times he sold New York's most famous landmarks. The lesson? Parker's con worked because he understood people's dreams and their desperation. He proved that when hope blinds you, you'll buy anything, even a bridge. His story is a warning. In the pursuit of opportunity, never leave your skepticism at the dock. That's the legend of George C. Parker, the man who turned New York's landmarks into his personal marketplace, making history by convincing people the impossible was theirs for the taking. With the Brooklyn Bridge back in public hands and Parker's buyers left with worthless deeds, we're left wondering, how did one man turn New York's landmarks into his personal marketplace? Let's break down the anatomy of Parker's con and explore why the promise of easy fortune can blind even the savviest investor. Parker's success began with his willingness to accept and exploit the ugly truths of human nature. He understood that beneath respectability, most people harbor secret ambitions to get ahead, to outsmart the system, to grab a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He didn't judge these motives. He turned them into his greatest asset. The degree to which we will be able to influence others will be in direct proportion to the amount of truth we can accept about human nature. Blair warned. Parker didn't approach his marks with a suspicious sales pitch. Instead, he created an entire world of legitimacy. He set up offices that looked every bit as official as City Hall. He forged deeds, contracts, and even keys to the Brooklyn Bridge. Sometimes he hired accomplices to play city officials or lawyers, all to reinforce the illusion. He never said, "I'm selling you the Brooklyn Bridge." Instead, he offered a unique investment opportunity and let his mark's ambition do the rest. The idea of buying the Brooklyn Bridge is so outlandish, it creates an instant, "Wait, what?" moment. But Parker didn't stop there. He layered on the details. Maps, paperwork, and he even staged tours of the bridge to make the impossible seem plausible. This incongruity, something that doesn't fit our expectations, grabs attention and makes us more open to suggestion, especially when it's dressed up in detail and authority. Parker's marks were often immigrants or ambitious newcomers, unfamiliar with American law, but hungry for the American dream. His con satisfied several deep psychological needs. The first was hope, the promise of fast wealth and the shortcut to status. The next was secret knowledge, the thrill of being let in on an insider deal. Then there's power, the fantasy of owning a landmark, and then collecting tolls. Then there's the need to be right, the pride of spotting a golden opportunity before anyone else. Parker's confidence and professional appearance created a halo effect, which made his marks trust him, even when their instincts whispered caution. Parker's cons unfolded in carefully constructed stages. The approach. He targeted those who were ambitious, naive, or new to America. People who dreamed big but didn't know the rules. The build-up. He established credibility with fake documents, staged meetings, and even office decor that screamed legitimacy. The convincer. He provided evidence, deeds, keys, contracts, and sometimes staged city officials to vouch for him. The hoorah. He created urgency. Act now or someone else will snatch up this opportunity. The blow-off. Once the money changed hands, Parker disappeared. Victims only learned the truth when they tried to collect tolls or claim their property and found themselves laughed at or arrested. Parker's victims sometimes paid with cash, sometimes with promissory notes, and often left believing they'd made the deal of a lifetime. When the con unraveled, victims rarely went public. Admitting you'd been duped, especially by such a grand promise, was very humiliating. Many just rationalized their loss, blaming the system, their own greed, or bad luck, rather than face the embarrassment of being conned. This self-deception helped Parker's legend grow. The phrase, "if you believe that, I've got a bridge to sell you," became a part of American folklore. How many of us, even today, would rather believe a beautiful lie than face the uncomfortable truth? Parker's genius wasn't just in his props or in his stories. It was his ability to read people, to satisfy their deepest hopes, their ambitions, and to let them believe the dream was their own idea. The most dangerous cons aren't the ones we're told, they're the ones we convince ourselves to believe. But what if the con isn't about selling a landmark? It's about becoming someone else entirely. Next time we'll meet Ferdinand Waldo Damara, the great imposter, who didn't just fake a fortune, he faked entire lives. Surgeon, monk, prison warden, and teacher. Damara slipped into new identities with nothing but confidence, charm, and a knack for deception. How did one man fool the world, save lives on a warship, and outsmart every institution he touched? You'll have to see it to believe it. Subscribe now so you don't miss the next episode.